Thank you for joining us in Cold Spring Harbor, Long Island for a matchup of Conference 4 powerhouses here on the Varsity Media Sports Network Game of the Week. It's the defending Long Island champion Cold Spring Harbor Seahawks taking on traditional powerhouse, the Seaford Vikings. I'm Gavin Shaw alongside longtime head coach Mike Spina. And Mike, I just want to start off asking you, what's most interesting about this matchup? Obviously, these two teams played twice last year. Cold Spring Harbor dominated both affairs. Is this game going to be any different?
I definitely believe it's going to be different. I mean, you're talking about a rich tradition over with the Seaford Vikings. I mean, they've been the powerhouse for Conference 4 for many of years. The rivalry used to be Seaford and Roosevelt. When Roosevelt moved up to Conference 3, they needed a new dog. And guess what? They found it. All right? It's a Great Dane. All right now with, Cold Spring Harbor. So right now they're going back and forth in the last couple of years. I'm really excited to see this rematch from last year's county final.
Cold Spring Harbor, a new quarterback this season, Richie Striano, one of the three Striano triplets on the team taking over, and he's had a dominant start to this season. 17 of 25, 425 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year, nearly 140 rushing yards. He has fit seamlessly into the big shoes Ray Costra left to fill. 2 other triplets on the team. They also lost star running back Danny Striano, but that hasn't hurt them so far this year. They've won games by an average of 32 points. Seaford, similarly dominant on the year. They've only given up 8 points on the season. 39-3, and Mike, we were talking about this pregame. They've done it almost entirely by running the football.
Yeah, that's traditional. I mean, Coach Papala is a power eye guy. He likes to just line up and say, if you can stop me, hey, my hat's off to you. But not many teams can stop him, and they do a great job mixing up their running, their play action. If they don't have to pass the ball, he won't. He's not going to deviate from what they do well, and that's the one thing that they do. All right, they play fundamental, strong, solid football. And they don't sit there and use a whole playbook. If something's working, they're going to stay with it until you stop them.
To your point, their star quarterback, Logan Masters, he's only thrown the ball 6 times all season. They've lost star running back Joe Angelostro from a year ago, 1,530 yards, 17 touchdowns when he was a junior. Thomas Vicio has stepped up right in his place, 43 carries, 487 yards, 7 touchdowns. Kick out on the docket here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Both of these teams having to replace a whole lot of talent off of last year's team, but you look at this Cold Spring Harbor side, they were lucky enough to return most of their skill position talent, obviously losing Danny Striano, who was the Long Island Championship MVP a year ago, a big deal, but now they have wide receiver Casey Reynolds in there a year after, 520 yards, 254 through 3 games. So this is a little bit of a different Cold Spring Harbor team, maybe throwing the ball a little bit more than they did in past years, but they are equally dominant. They look really good, and we were talking about it. They seem to be the new class of Conference 4, if last year was any indication.
Well, it's like a family affair. You know, you lose one Striano and you have the triplets.
Yeah.
That's the funny part. It's a family affair. Even the officials, we got a father-son officiating crew today.
Right. You know, they better hope this Striano family, they get started up again, because these 3 are the last ones on the pipeline for a while.
Well, the good thing is they're all lacrosse players. They're football players. I love the multi-sport athletes. You know, take that single-sport athlete and just look at what you see on the field today. And this is a perfect example. You know, state championships lacrosse, Long Island championships football. I'm excited to see this.
It's Cold Spring Harbor in red and white to kick off to receive the Vikings of Seaford in white with the green helmets. And this probably the matchup of the year so far on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Again, these two teams, the preeminent powers in Conference 4 here on Long Island. Kickoff comes off the foot of Will Spare, and we're underway. Short kick, and it's going to be taken near the 40. So excellent starting field position for Seaford as this one gets going. And Mike, you were telling me pregame they really like to control the clock with that run game, slow down possessions, and limit the opportunities with this dominant Cold Spring Harbor offense.
Well, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to milk the clock as much as possible. Listen, the best defense is the best offense. And if you notice that onside, it's not an onside kick, it's a squib kick. I think you're going to see a lot of those today. I don't think either team wants to kick the ball deep. I know Seaford over the past, that's what they do. They either squib it or pooch it or onside kick it, and he's had a lot of success with that, and it looks like Cold Spring's kind of going the same route.
It'll be so fascinating to see how this run game gets started for Seaford, given that the strength of Cold Spring Harbor's defense is that defensive line. They've been so dominant there all year long. Ethan Berto leads the way. He had 8 tackles in the first half in their dominant victory a week ago over East Rockaway. So something to note as we get underway, and that run goes nowhere on first down.
Yeah, they're starting off in their traditional power eye. and giving the ball to Visio right away and seeing if he can get his 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust.
Visio out there alongside Andrew Volpe. Visio listed at 5'10", but I don't know if he's quite that tall.
I don't know, but he looks more 160, 165. I would say that looks good. We do have a stoppage here.
Going to be about second and should still be about 10 when we get back underway. Seaford, again, they're going to take as much time off the clock as they possibly can. You would think ideally they want this to be a low-scoring game.
Yes, they do. And they'll use all 40 seconds with the new clock this year. There it is. Same thing, and we talked about this in the pregame. When you watch Seaford's offense, when the power back is even with the fullback, they're most of the time running towards the power back. But when he's back and he's splitting the difference, they're running the ball weak side. No huddle here, unbalanced line.
So Seaford decides to go fast. Now they toss it outside to Visio, trying to win to the edge. He will not. Covered up again. It was Jacob Bruno with the tackle on second down. This time a whole host of Seahawks get there to make the play. Dom Striano in there as well.
Oh, that was a great job by Cold Spring Harbor's defense, recognizing the unbalance, the no huddle. They tried to get him off balance. They tried to get him to be shifted in one way and pitch the ball the other way, and Cold Spring was up for the task.
So that has to be extremely worrisome if you're Coach Purple and you come out and run 3 straight times, get stopped 3 straight times. It'll be interesting to see if that strategy shifts at all going forward. Again, they've only passed the ball 6 times all year, so they don't necessarily have a whole lot of other options. Punt will drop down at the feet of Casey Reynolds, fumbles it for a second, and now he goes down hard. He was lucky to even recover that ball.
Yeah, that was a very risky play right there because it wasn't like he was fielding it clean.
So we'll take a quick break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Be back in a second.
Looks as if they'll spot the ball on the 25-yard line.
Back to action here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. First down on the docket. Give right up the middle. Goes nowhere for Jacob Bruno. So similarly strong, at least first down for the Seaford defense.
Yeah, they're coming out in their traditional 5-man front, 5 hands down. It's been basically Coach Popal's bread and butter for 50 years of coaching. He's done a great job. I mean, not many people older than me coaching around, but, you know, he's one of them, and he's won many championships. And like I said, he knows something that works, and he's not going to deviate.
Rupert Paul, he retired 2 seasons ago after winning his 3rd Long Island championship. Everyone apparently wanted him back, and he said, you know what, I'll do it. I'll have another go-around. And Seaford continues to be certainly one of the better programs in the area. The Cold Spring Harbor right in that conversation. Richie Striano under center. This time drops back to pass. Take a shot downfield for Reynolds. Double team, makes a diving catch inside Seaford territory.
A straight go route. And I'll tell you right now, that ball was thrown perfectly on the outside shoulder where only he can catch it.
Hey, Mike, let me know what you think of this replay.
Oh, this is a great diving catch right there. That's a great throw and a great catch. And that's probably what Cold Spring's going to have to do. They're going to have to throw the ball. Not many teams are running the ball on Seaford. You got a 5-man front, so it's tough to run against a 5-man front. 5 hands down, and you got 5 big boys up there.
Reynolds 520 yards a year ago, and the scary thing, if you're a Cold Spring Harbor opponent, is by all accounts he's a far better player this season. Give up the middle, they go back to the run, and again, nothing doing. Jacob Bruno couldn't find any daylight.
Well, again, back to the power eye, just trying to run straight at him, trying to put their size against Seaford's size. I think they're going to have to throw the ball to win. I think you might see the ball 25 times in the air.
It's worth noting a veteran offensive line for Cold Spring Harbor returned 4 starters from a year ago. Had to replace their center. Chris Romanoff popped over from guard. He's been doing a good job in that position so far. But you mentioned it, Richie Striano, again, a player it's worth noting who hadn't played quarterback since junior varsity before this year, has been excellent on the season, throwing the football, averaging 17 yards per attempt. This time a little option play, tosses it outside, Cutting back is Bruno trying to find daylight. He'll get about halfway to a first down.
Well, that was almost a 4 or 5 yard loss. He did a great job planting his foot into the turf and just getting upfield to gain actually 2 versus losing 5. Seaford did a great job stringing it out. They're very well coached on option responsibilities. You know, they looking at their coaching staff and looking at Joe Knoll as one of their volunteer assistants. And you want to talk about somebody who knows defense? That's a person who knows defense. Longtime head coach at Limbrook. He was at Locust Valley. He's been at Oyster Bay. He's been all over. And I've had the pleasure to coach against Joe Knoll and Coach Papal for many years. And these guys know the X's and O's.
And worth noting, 2 shutouts in 3 games so far for Seaford. Obviously, though, Cold Spring Harbor at a whole different level. 3rd down at about 5. Bruno trying to get there. He'll be close, but looks to be just a little bit short as he neared the 30.
Well, very interesting on that play where Cold Spring came out and Seaford went over the top. They double teamed. They took Casey Reynolds out of the play. They were pressing, covering him, and they were putting a safety over the top. So they're going to take Reynolds out of the game somehow, some way. So, you know, here we go. Here's the coaching that's going involved right now. We're not going to let Reynolds beat us.
It's going to be 4th and about 2, and interesting, it almost seemed like Cold Spring Harbor called that play with the intent of going for it on 4 downs.
Yes, they did. That's why they ran the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him to jump here. Let's see the discipline.
So Striano under center. Instead, they go quick play action. Rolling right. He's going to run for it. Has a whole lot of room. He's still going. Blockers ahead. Striano to the end zone. Touchdown, Cold Spring Harbor.
That's a great call. They came out of power eye. They ran a power pass. Seaford was in man-to-man coverage on the tight end. On Moynihan. Moynihan was wide open too, but, you know, Striano said, hey, listen, I got green in front of me. I'm just going to run. And you could tell it was man-to-man because all the Seaford defenders were running towards the end zone.
Richie Striano, an excellent athlete, came into this game with 140 yards on the ground on the year. Obviously, that mark only going to go up. And an excellent play call from John Mendrensky. It didn't seem like Seaford was quite prepared for that.
No, I thought they figured they were just going to try to run power, maybe an outside toss and stuff like that. But great call, great routes. He broke coverage, and that was it. You could see the athlete that Striano is.
Now Cold Spring Harbor, they have this in their repertoire, comes out and spread for the 2-point conversion. Striano fakes rolling right. Now he goes left, shifty, diving inside. Seemed as if he was stopped just on the precipice of the end zone, but they say he got in. So an excellent start for the Cold Spring Harbor offense, up by 8.
Now you're watching this, they fake. Well, this is the touchdown pass right now. You see how he rolls out, and you see how he breaks contain. Once he broke the contain, that was it. And all the Seaford defenders are basically running with their man. It was a man coverage, and you just see the athlete that he is. Even on the 2-point play, he was stopped. He was bottled up on the 2-point play, and he made 2 cuts, lowered his shoulder, and I tell you, I'm impressed with the athleticism of Richie Striano.
And now look at that 2-point conversion, and
One
it was
cut.
interesting. You saw the long speed the first time, and then that short area quickness and bounce.
Sure.
Striano, a fullback a year ago, and now a pretty dominant quarterback. 8-0 lead, Cold Spring Harbor. 6:30 to go in quarter number 1 as we take a break on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Interested in sponsoring a live stream broadcast? Varsity Media streams offer tremendous visibility for your business. Contact us today at 866-577-1950 for rates and packages.
Back to action, Cold Spring Harbor to kick off. Last time it was something of a pooch kick, went really short with it. Be interesting to see if they try and push it downfield a little bit more now that they have the lead.
Yeah, kicked it deep
So
to Roboto.
Spare sends it that way. It's Jason Roboto getting close to the 30 before he's dragged down in, I would say, violent fashion by
Ben Bruno. Nice job on Ben Bruno,
Great
keeping his
tackle.
lanes. Good tackle, stayed low.
So it was an excellent start for the Cold Spring Harbor defense. 3 straight carries for Seaford, maybe gained a total of 2 yards.
And this is an important possession right now. It's not do or die, but it's an important possession. You win 3 plays and you gain 0 yards.
How do you expect them to adapt offensively here? Do they come out with some play action? Do they try to run outside?
I still think he's going to come out in some kind of, unbalanced, and he is spreading it out a little bit more.
So they try just that.
Little wing tee right there.
And then the ball gets put down, and Cold Spring Harbor comes right up with it. So the Seahawks have landed the first couple of punches in this rivalry matchup on the recovery. That time it looked to be Ben Bruno, who just made that special teams tackle, and now comes up with another big play.
Well, the key to this was the strip right there.
And his brother Jacob
Bruno.
got it, yeah.
I told you, this is a family affair, Gavin. This is a family affair.
You were right on top of it. We were focused on the Strianos. It's been the Brunos, at least defensively, making the difference.
Yeah. Great tackle, great strip. Good time to go play action right now. Try to catch them while their head's down.
For years and years, Seaford had dominated this matchup, and last season that completely flipped on its head. The 34-14 win for Cold Spring Harbor during the regular season, then 27-7 in the conference finals. It's a new error in Conference 4. Striano goes quickly up the middle. He's stonewalled after gaining about 4 by Craig Ackerman.
And he still kept going. He kept his feet going, and he picked up another 2.
Impressive determination from Striano. They call him the mayor, mostly because of his ability to manage personalities, and he's just sort of the king of Cold Spring Harbor right now. It was his brother Danny a year ago, but he's sort of taken over that mark with the graduation of his older brother, and quarterback Ray Castro, who's now wrestling at Virginia.
Interesting call on first down. It was just a quarterback sneak. He looked like a fullback.
That is where he played last year. Now give up the middle, trying to go quick, maybe diving forward for about a yard or 2 is Brady Stroud, the fullback.
Yeah, they tried a little inside trap, trying to catch Seaford on their over-penetration, but Seaford, like I said, they're very disciplined. They're very tough to run on.
Sets up a 3rd and 5 from right around the 24.
Probably 2-down territory, so you might see another run here, or you might go back to that play action where they scored.
One with the bootleg on that play. Obviously a whole lot of athleticism, but we saw the arm from Richie Striano and that beautiful downfield look to Reynolds. Option this time going outside is Bruno. Bruno finding room, certainly enough for a first down, and should be close to the 15 after diving forward.
Well, again, they're double teaming Casey Reynolds, but what he did on that, he threw a great block. He threw a great block so that he could cut inside, and I'll tell you, he's a player.
Casey Reynolds, a kid with high-level college aspirations, and you know better than I would, Mike, but that's certainly something coaches scouting are looking for. How unselfish are you? How willing are you to block on the perimeter when you're being double-teamed? Certainly a quality he has.
Well, the good thing is college coaches, and I've been doing this for a long time, they don't look to when you throw the ball. They look to see what you're doing when the ball's away from you.
So Striano under center again. This time they give to Ben Bruno, the backup running back. Couldn't find any room that time. A swarming Seaford defense was able to stand him up.
Oh, that was a great job by Andrew Volpe on that. He stayed home, took on a block, and made the tackle. It was a counter play, and they just doing his responsibilities, which is nice.
Christopher Sarasi in there as well. Seaford, by and large, has looked pretty good on defense. It's been just a couple of big plays for Cold Spring Harbor on these first 2 drives. As you see, Will Spare, the slot receiver, jog back out. Bruno comes out of the game, so maybe they're going to spread it out a little bit here.
I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. 2nd down and 9. And just as we say that, I mean, they're still in the eye. It's a pro set. And they are double-teaming Reynolds once again, so they're going to run away from it this time.
And he's going to be outside. It's Jacob Bruno, a whole lot of room. Touchdown again for Cold Spring Harbor. 14-0, the Seahawks laying the smackdown in this first quarter on their rivals in Seaford.
And that's the disadvantage when you're double-teaming one. You're taking one of your defenders out of the box. So they spread them out all the way to the sideline. So now you're playing your 10 against their 9. And they just sealed the edge, and he walked into the end zone.
And it's interesting. It's such a big concept in basketball. How much gravity do you have? How effective are you off the ball? You don't necessarily think about it in football terms as much, but Casey Reynolds is dominating this game with just 1 catch.
Absolutely, because he's just changed the whole complexion of the defense. He's changed the defense.
So Cold Spring Harbor looking to leverage their early dominance, and they come out ready to go for 2 again. They showcase the spread, one of 3 offenses they run at different times. This time Striano looking to pass, throwing right back at the end zone. His intended receiver was Will Spare, who got tripped up. So the lead rests at 14-0. Cold Spring Harbor, though, runs off victorious as we take a look at that touchdown. Mike, let me know what you see here.
Well, what I see is man coverage on the outside, and he just runs them off. They seal the edge. Great block. Believe it or not, Striano. All right, the right tackle did a great job sealing the end, and it was really uncontested.
Yeah, Dom Striano, 6'2", 215 pounds. They call him the Strong Brother. We'll take a quick break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. You're watching our Game of the Week.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility for all your sport maintenance, body preservation, and daily tune-up work.
Back to action. Cold Spring Harbor, a 14-0 lead over Seaford. Again, continuing the trend of the past two seasons. This time they pooch kick it. Be taken right up the middle and a little bit of room down the gut, and finally some momentum for Seaford. Patrick Quinn on the return that time. The senior offensive lineman showing off a little speed.
That's a great job. That's a great job by Patrick. He got the ball. Listen, you're not going to break it for a touchdown. Catch the ball and go straight ahead, and that's the danger of the squib kick. You know, if it gets caught and fielded cleanly, Seaford now has the ball at the 47-yard line going in.
And if you're Cold Spring Harbor, you almost question them being that conservative in this situation. Up by 14 in the first quarter. You're totally dominating this game. Why give Seaford any momentum?
We're going to find out what they do with it. Back to the eye. There's your play action. I was assuming they were going to go play action sooner or later.
Oh, and that one, if it wasn't picked off, it was darn close. Dropped just by an inch that time by Brady Stroud, the linebacker.
He did a great job getting width on his flat coverage and then basically breaking on the ball. Thank God that pass was low. If that was a on-target pass, that's an interception.
Yeah, just an off pass from Logan Masters, only his second incompletion on the year, though, of course, it's worth noting that just his seventh pass attempt on the season.
No, that's not their bread and butter. Their game is to run the ball, whether it's power eye, unbalanced, and just physically beat people up. They also can wear you down, too. Don't count Seaford out yet. There's a lot of game left. Still 3:33 to go in the first quarter. This is still going to be a game.
Masters has been effective when he has been asked to throw the ball. 2 touchdowns in last year's conference semifinal game. Just by and large hasn't done too much of it. And under Rob Purpall, that's sort of been the identity of this program. Power, power, power. Though it's worth noting Cold Spring Harbor was wary of the play-action game. If they started giving up yardage in the run game, they were a little bit concerned, John Mendrensky specifically, that they play a little bit too up and give up something long down the field.
Right, it's going to be a bend and break. There's a little stop and go.
They try the same trick, near catch down the sideline, but a big hit laid down by who else? The quarterback, Richie Striano, to ensure that ball wasn't caught.
Well, they didn't bite on the hitch. It was just a hitch and go, and you see Seaford right now. I'm not saying panic, but they're coming out throwing the ball right now on the first 2 downs, which is really not their game, not their style. But I feel like right now they're trying to jumpstart this offense.
That pass was intended for Jason Roboto, who nearly made a spectacular catch along the sideline. The phrase we heard again and again throughout the week from John Mendrensky was he just wanted everyone on his defense to do his job. He was stealing from Bill Belichick.
Do your job. Don't try to do too much.
So somewhat of an exotic formation here for Seaford.
Yeah, it's a little shovel pass.
Wow, interesting play right up the middle. Will get them very close to first down yardage if they don't quite have it. It's going to be...
They're short by 3 yards. They came out what we call a double sniffer look on the right side, and they were both out wide, and they came with an inside shovel pass away from the sniffer back to the left side. And Cold Spring did a really nice job staying home. I mean, that for Seaford right now, that's a big gain, 7 yards.
What do you mean by sniffer?
Sniffer's like a wing back. We call it an H-back. Some people call it a sniffer. And basically they take the running back and they move them not on the line of scrimmage, but right behind either the tackle or the tight end. Some people will move them directly behind the tackle. Some people will move them outside the tackle or a tight end, which we call a wing back. But basically it's an H-back, and they use him sometimes when teams run counters or they're trying to get the edge and get outside, and he's got a better angle to seal down on the defensive end.
So an interesting formation for Seaford. Finally gains them some traction. They take a timeout. Fourth down coming up next on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Fourth and 3, the play of the game so far for the Seaford Vikings. What do you expect they come with here?
I'm gonna expect either of them to try to draw him offside, and if it's a power eye, I'm gonna look at the wing back here.
And it's interesting they get to the line quickly.
This could be a play action here.
Masters under center will
counter.
give left side, stood up, and an extra push going to get them close to the first down. It was Andrew Volpe on the carry.
He looked short. He did fall forward.
He has Roboto in there at fullback, giving him a little push, almost similar. Do you remember the Bush push, Notre Dame, USC, controversial play, coming in very little. Take a look at that replay and see just how close he got.
Great initial contact. He spun out of the initial contact, rolled, went forward, but still came up a yard short.
Yeah, and excuse me, on the push, it was actually an offensive lineman, Nicholas Brandy, coming in at 5'10", 240, and giving him a little extra momentum. So the offense out there for now.
Now, Cold Springs got the ball, so let's see what he does right now with 2:50 to go in the first quarter.
Well, darn close for Seaford and just heartbreak for their side. They absolutely needed that. Now Cold Spring comes out of the huddle quite quick.
Straight
Triano,
ISO.
Yeah, give left side. Bruno breaks out. Nothing doing. Jacob Bruno down the left sideline. Cold Spring Harbor taking over early.
What a great run. All that was a straight ISO where the fullback blocks the linebacker. They find the shades where the tackles can easily make either a fold block or a cross block. He almost went untouched.
Seemed there was a lot of chaos on the line, and once Jacob Bruno broke through, there's no one there to contest him. And what a shift in momentum. We were a second away from Seaford having a first down, maybe a little life, and now Cold Spring Harbor seemingly asserting their dominance in quarter number one. Still 2:38 to go. They're already up by 20.
Yeah, we're going to find out right now what kind of pride Seaford has. I mean, listen, these are prideful kids. These are real good kids. I mean, this is a good football team. They're just getting blitzed a little bit right now.
Calling for motion is Triano. A pitch left to Bruno. Bruno so quick, so shifty, great feet. He gets in, 22 zip.
And there's a flag on the play right now. I'm kind of curious. All they did was run jet motion across and run option. And it looks like it's going to be a block or a hold on Cold Spring.
You think he said block in the back? So that'll push Cold Spring Harbor back a little bit. They'll have to go for two again. Take a look at that replay here. See exactly where the penalty was. Maybe a little bit of a hold there against...
Looks like the hands to the face mask more than anything.
It's possible.
Well, let's ask our official. That's who's next to us. Stu Cohen, who's our officiating official game clock operator, giving me a hand signal saying, hands to the face there, Mr. Cohen? He signaled the block in the back. He did signal block in the back.
It was on Dom Striano, who had that great blow-up block on the second touchdown of this game.
And this is interesting because now you're talking about going for two, but you're at the 15, 16-yard line. So I'm assuming some kind of pass play right now. Do they have Reynolds doubled up? No, they don't.
It's an interesting mentality. Will Spare is the kicker. He has range out to 30 yards, but instead they decide to throw it. Backing up is Striano under a lot of heat now. He's just going to have to chuck this ball up. He does just that. Back of the end zone, knocked away. Good defending that time by Roboto. And finally, Seaford able to make a positive play defensively. It's been a whole lot of Cold Spring Harbor, up 20-0. Let's take a quick timeout, and we'll be back in a second on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility for all your sport maintenance, body preservation, and daily tune-up work. Located on Main Street in Huntington. Physical therapy at its finest.
Sun starting to set here in Cold Spring Harbor, one of the more picturesque spots in Long Island. Gavin Shaw, Mike Spina here with you on the Varsity Media Sports Network, a 20-0 lead for the Seahawks. It was interesting talking to John Mendrensky. I think he undersold it a little bit. I said, do you think you're as good as you are last year? And he said, we're still figuring ourselves out. Some stuff to iron out, but we think we're going to get there. Right now they're looking a whole lot better than they were a season ago. A nifty return this time by Robert Necco, and he eventually gets run out right close to the 40.
Yeah, it looks like at the 37. He didn't want to go down. He just was wrapped up a couple different times, spinning out of it. It looked like the play was done at about the 31, 32, and somehow he spun out again and got down to about the 37, it looks like.
And what a turn of events for Seaford, just going through their schedule. They beat Malvern 41-0, Clark 35-8, Valley Stream South a week ago 41-0. They haven't had a close game all year, and that still might be true, just in the wrong direction now. Cold Spring Harbor completely setting the tone in this first quarter.
Well, they wanted to set their mark right away. This is going to be now the important drive of the game. And they're coming out and spread right now, so they're feeling it right now. They're not looking to pound, and they're coming out spread. 3 receivers on one side, 1 on the other.
Logan Masters throwing deep left side, and it's picked off by Casey Reynolds. A diving interception, but worth noting, a flag on the play. The intended target was Robert Necco. He's down now.
You're going to get either an interference or a hold. They went to the solo side on that, and Robert Necco looked like he was running by the defender on that, and he looked like he was just reaching and holding him. And the flag came out right away, and I don't think you're getting any argument from the Cold Spring side.
Yes, that's absolutely a hold. Nearly another spectacular play for Casey Reynolds. As we'll take a quick look at the replay here. And you can see that grab right off the bat. Getting a whole lot of jersey there was Ben Bruno, who forced a fumble last possession.
Oh, he was beat a little bit, but the funny part was, did you see how much ground Casey Reynolds made up from the free safety? That ball went in the air. He made up about 25 yards while the ball was in the air. This is an athlete.
An absolute star on both sides of the ball, obviously more known for his offense, but such an incredible athlete. They say in practice he makes one catch that just makes your jaw drop essentially every day at this point. Went to a whole lot of camps this summer and just took it up to another level.
And he's good size. He's 6'3", 190. I mean, he's got college size.
Masters, this time a give to Vicio, who hasn't been able to get anything going. He's smothered closer to the 50, right around the 44.
Yeah, they're trying to run an ISO right now, and Cold Spring Harbor's defensive line is totally dominating this game. There is absolutely zero push coming from the Seaford line right now. So they're going to have to figure something out, whether it's a change of formation, maybe running an unbalance, or maybe coming out in a little bit more spread. Just because you come out in a spread formation doesn't mean you have to throw the ball. Back to power I, though.
Masters right under center. Quick give up the middle. They'll power right to midfield.
It's about a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, that time it was Volpe on the carry. So mixing it up pretty evenly between the two backs. Again, it's largely been Vicio on the season, Christopher Sarasi, the running back, the third stringer, getting the ball that time. He's more of a power back at 5'7", 175.
Yeah, and he's out of the game right now, as is Volpe. So, 3rd and 8. This, like I said, this is a very, very important drive of this game right now. And they're at the 49-yard line. I would not be surprised if this is 2-down situation.
And it's a spectacular play call on 3rd down with that little shuffle pass. Instead, under pressure right away is Masters, forced to throw off his back foot, winding. How did he get that one in? Was it in bounds is the question. This official says yes. Excellent catch by Jason Robuato.
What a great throw. He's going to his left, throwing the ball on his back foot. All his momentum is going backwards, and he throws the ball up, and that's right on a dime. That's a great call right there.
Similar to what we saw from Russell Wilson of the Seahawks on Thursday night against the Rams. And you saw that Peter Striano got in there in about a second, and just Masters to have that poise to avoid him, and then the sheer arm talent to get it down the field.
Yeah, he's got some arm strength, and like I said, you got to change your strategy a little bit. You can't just run power I right now. he'll come back to it at some point, as he does right now on first down. It looks like it's going to be a power blast here.
Incredibly, the throw of the day comes from Seaford. Give up the middle, and maybe that gave a little bit of life to the offensive line as they cleared a big-time hole for Visio.
Well, you got a late flag right now, and I'm going to say it looks like it's going to be a hold.
And I guess that explains the highway-sized opening that Visio had to run through.
That's a tough call. It's you have momentum going, you get a big play on third down, and you come out with a quick count, and then you'll get 5-6 yards, and you think things are going in a positive direction. But here we go, that dreaded hold, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, and now instead of second down and 6, you're looking at first down and 20.
And it puts them all the way back at the Cold Spring Harbor 47.
Vikings, first and 20.
So first and 20 from there. And that should be it for the first quarter unless Seaford decides to go fast. Obviously, their philosophy shifts a little bit now, maybe trying to go, if not hurry up, a little bit faster, certainly not using the full extent of the clock as they normally do.
Now, again, this first and 20, they're either going to run some kind of power blast. There it is. Same exact play to the other side.
And they gain about 2 yards, and that probably a good way to end the first quarter. A microcosm as Cold Spring Harbor has dominated this game on the lines and on the perimeter. It's been a team effort for the Seahawks, up 20-0 after one here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. And an injured player down. We'll let you know who it is and how he's doing when we come back on Varsity Media.
And I asked, go ahead, we're up.
So a couple players down. Helped off the field was junior tight end Brendan O'Hagan, whose older brother had a cup of tea with the New York Giants. Certainly a big name for the Seaford program, so you absolutely hope he ends up being all right.
Yeah, he walked off on his own power. There was a couple things in that play that, when I look at high school football and what it's all about, after the play, 2 of the Cold Spring Harbor players, and one in particular was Ethan Berto, one of their captains, was lending a helping hand to some of the Seaford offensive linemen, lifting them up. You like to see that. This is a rivalry, but I think both teams understand that it is a game, and nobody's trying to hurt anybody here, and that to me stands out. And not many people see those kind of things. Being around coaching for 34 years now, I notice a lot of little things, and to me that was impressive. Helping the guy he's going to battle with up.
So Masters comes back out in the shotgun. Seaford switching sides of the field, going left to right now, rolling to his right and throwing over the head that time of his intended target, Andrew Volpe, who at 5'7", that ball would have had to be further down and really on the mark to get in there.
Yeah, they came out with a trips look. It's actually a tight end trips look, and Richie Striano did a great job covering the flat on that. There was nowhere for that ball to be completed. Just great defense. Great disciplined defense.
We saw Masters make a spectacular throw near the end of that first quarter to Jason Roboto, that time a little bit off the mark, but he's certainly shown that when necessary he can toss it around a little bit. The only question is how effective will it be now that Cold Spring Harbor is expecting it.
Yeah, well, now same formation, just the other side. Again, 3rd down and 15. I still think it's 2-down situation here.
Yeah, 3rd and 20 officially from the 45. Toss over the middle. Big-time collision. It was Casey Reynolds absolutely laying out Jason Roboto that time.
Yeah, looking to run a backside post. That's a hard throw, rolling left and throwing back all the way to the right. And it gets very dangerous when you're throwing the ball over the middle of the field. So you got 4th and 15. You're at the Cold Spring 45. Like I said, I think it's 2-down situation. I don't think that he's going to punt, but we're going to find out in about 25 seconds if he's going to punt. Knowing Coach Papal for all the years that I've coached against him, I don't think he's punting.
Yeah, it's interesting because with a run-dominant team and inherently conservative style of football, but they're never shy under him about going for it on fourth down.
No, and I've seen him do it at his own 20 and 25-yard line in Long Island championships and be very successful with it.
Yeah, and here you go. They go for it now. Throw down the right sideline. He has a man in Roboto, but Reynolds gets over to tip it away. A big-time play from the senior safety.
Wow, great. You talk about a smart play, not just a great play. He could have easily picked that ball off. But that would have been a punt.
Yeah, and let's take a look at that replay.
They were open, too.
A couple of guys open down the field.
And he intentionally knocked the ball out of bounds, which saved his team 40 yards. That's a smart football player right there, well coached. And you got to have that instinct inside. You know, most kids are saying, hey, I'm going to get an interception. I'm going to pad my stats. Nope. I'm going to bat it out of bounds and get the ball at the 45-yard line instead of the 25. And there was guys open.
Right, and it's almost surprising. You would have expected Cold Spring Harbor to just have a ton in the defensive backfield there, but there were at least three guys running downfield seemingly with an advantage, and it took just a picture-perfect play from Reynolds to ensure that didn't go anywhere.
And
so
right away, look at
still
this.
Aggressive. Now they look for Reynolds, trying to make a play on the other end. He got it. Casey Reynolds shakes off initial defender down at the 13.
What a great throw. I love the call. You know, you see that in other sports where a guy makes a great defensive play and all of a sudden he's up first in baseball. You know, great defensive play and then who leads off the inning? Same thing. Makes a great defensive play down there on this side of the field, and what do? They just run him on a go route.
And how about the chemistry between those two? Striano was throwing that ball just as soon as he caught the snap, knowing exactly where Reynolds was going to be. Again, picture-perfect ball placement. You talk about a guy who was playing fullback a year ago. How about his arm talent, his ability to fit the ball into tight windows?
Yeah, he's definitely had some quarterback training. Now to go back right to power.
Under center. Yeah, now you see the athletic ability. Striano sprinting outside, trying to get the edge. He'll be close. He dives. Down at about the 2.
Yes, there's the fullback mentality right there. He wasn't jump cutting. He was trying to run over somebody.
It's funny. John Mendrensky was saying they pulled him aside preseason. They're saying, you can't do all the same things you did as a fullback. You have to run out of bounds sometimes. You have to protect your body. And Richie Striano was saying, yeah, coach, I got you. But in a goal-to-go situation, he went for it.
But here's the interesting part. Somebody is down.
Yeah, we can't quite tell who the injury is because there's a number of bodies in the way.
And it happened right at the end of the play, and it's not Richie Striano.
Don't think it's a plan.
It looks to be not an official, perhaps a cameraman.
Or a chain crew?
Over there. We're not quite sure. We'll take a break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We'll let you know how he's doing on the other side. So the injury was to a non-participant getting rolled up on the sideline. Mike, you saw it a little better than I did there.
It was somebody taking pictures. I don't know if it's somebody from Newsday or just somebody's parent, but as he dives into the end zone and two Seaford players try, it looks like they took her legs out, not intentionally, she or he. I can't see, it's very far away, but it just looks like somebody got rolled up. The teams are coming back onto the field right now. So that's a good sign.
You got to hope she's all right, as Cold Spring Harbor on the precipice of yet another touchdown with over 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. A chance to take, the way they're going, it's either going to be a 26-0 lead or a 28-0 lead. Seaford has done their best. They've had some moments early in the second quarter where you felt like maybe they could gain some momentum. Just hasn't happened. Striano push up the middle.
Yeah,
they tried the same trick with the fullback pushing him from behind, and he got in another touchdown for Cold Spring Harbor.
Yeah, and that's just his quarterback sneak. They find a little bit of a gap in there and, try to catch him off guard a little bit. And like you said, could be 26-0 real quick.
And on the whole, a somewhat surprising, I would say even stunning turn of events. This was a 20-point game both times last year. This is a little bit different, up by 26 early in the second quarter.
Well, In talking to the coaching staff, they said we might be better this year. And by the looks of things, I think they are.
John Mendrensky certainly not backing off that aggressive mentality as they continue to go for two. Striano tries to power it in, gets tackled short. It looks short. No, now they say he got in. So Richie Striano, that fullback strength. One of 3 Striano triplets on the team. They've all showed out at different moments in this one. It's been the Strianos, it's been the Brunos, it's been a Cold Spring Harbor blowout so far, 28-0. As we'll see just how Richie Striano got in there.
Well, the key of this is the offensive line takeoff. They got underneath the Seaford defensive line, and he just followed them.
And what a good sign that is for them. We mentioned 4 of the 5 starters are returners. One new guy, Chris Romanoff, at center, and he got a big push up front for Cold Spring Harbor. 28-0 is the lead for the Seahawks on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility for all your sport maintenance, body preservation, and daily tune-up work.
Will Spare looking like he's going to send this one deep for Cold Spring Harbor, who just went up by 4 touchdowns after the little 1-yard push from Richie Striano.
And this is dangerous.
Taken by Robert Necco, looking for some room on the left side, shoves a defender to the ground, somehow still on his feet, but eventually goes down in a wave of red. Cold Spring Harbor swarming to the football.
He did a great job just getting back to the 16. That's dangerous. The ball went over his head. When it hit the turf, you're hoping that it goes into the end zone, but it kind of bounced back. So that kind of gave the Cold Spring Harbor kickoff team a little bit of a chance to get down the field and in their lanes. Like I said, he did a real good job just getting up to the 16.
Necco's had a couple of nice returns. We've seen some good moments for the skill position talent from Seaford, whether it was Necco on those returns or Boato had that beautiful catch down the sideline. Andrew Volpe, a couple nice runs. Thomas Vicio, 1 or 2 nice runs, but it's just been few and far between.
Yeah, this has been a dominant performance so far by Cold Spring. It's been dominant. Now you got to see what Seaford can do, because you're at the point now, you're down 4 scores. You're just looking to get something positive to get the momentum going so your kids start, you don't want your kids to get down and sit there and say, hey, this one's over.
So they come out on the spread, absolutely uncharacteristic for this team. They toss to Vicio, who will get about 3.
Yeah, that was an option play to the left, to the short side of the field. Again, knowing Coach Paul, that's not his bread and butter. But listen, give him credit. He's trying anything and everything right now to give his kids a chance to get back into this game. And that's good. Some coaches will just get stuck in their ways and say, hey, this is what we do. But, what you're doing isn't going to work, so you got to try something else. So, kudos to Coach Paul for that. Now you got to execute.
You appreciate, especially in his 23rd season at the school, that ability to adapt. You mentioned nearly half a century of coaching experience overall. He's been at this for a while. He's been in these situations, and he's willing and able to do anything he can to figure it out.
That's why he's been around for as long as he has and had the success.
Logan Masters this time 2 backs to his left side. Now he'll throw an out. Oh, and another well-placed ball, but just a little bit outside of the outstretched arms of Boato.
Now, this is interesting because they must have had a tackle eligible on that, because number 50 was actually in the pattern on that. So I'm kind of curious right now how number 50 was running one of those patterns. I mean, that's illegal.
Yeah, interesting. Number 50, not even on Seaford's official roster, so you wonder what's going on there.
Maybe that's why they didn't throw it to him, but
possible.
It doesn't matter. He was open, but it's not an eligible number to go downfield.
It'll set up a 3rd and 9 from the 19 for the Vikings. I feel like we've said this every third down, but another crucial one for Seaford. Just have to get something going. Masters back, not under too much heat, just throws that one into coverage, intended for Robert Necco, too tall for him.
Yeah, that was blanket coverage. They were front and back. All right, we call it a bracket where they go inside or out or front and back, and he wasn't even open. He wasn't even close. Now, again, nobody's come onto the field yet. Now they're coming on.
And now they send the punt team in. Again, we've seen in the past an extraordinary amount of aggressiveness from Coach Purpall, but this would probably be pushing it a little bit too far.
It would be pushing it, but nothing would ever surprise me. But now you never know on a fake. If you're not confident with your punter and you're not confident that you're going to stop him.
Yeah, that would almost make more sense. Instead, they send it down the field. Actually, an excellent kick that time. Back for it is Reynolds, an athletic catch around the 50. He goes down right away. Flag comes in.
And you know what that means. That's a block in the back. No reason for it.
So it'll push Cold Spring Harbor back a little bit. They probably won't mind too much. Up by 28, 9:41 to go in a second. As we take a look at the replay, actually an excellent punt that time. Reynolds had to make a nice catch just to grab it.
And that's a great call. Once you see the back of his numbers, let him go. I mean, worst case scenario, you get the ball at the 48-yard line going in. Now you get pushed back. The way this game's going, and I hate saying it this way, but the way this game's going, it's just giving Cold Spring Harbor a little bit more room to run their offense.
Yeah, maybe the logic was just not even giving Seaford a chance to lay a big hit on Casey Reynolds, and if that was the case, I would say penalty was worth it.
Yes, it could be sometimes, but, Casey wants to run the ball.
Yeah, certainly. No, he wasn't going to call for a fair catch there.
No, he was not.
I mean, he's just been so impressive. I mean, what's your assessment of him in terms of his college prospects? Does he look like a D1 guy to you, a D2? I mean, it's hard to tell. We haven't seen
It's
too
hard
much,
to tell. I mean, it's the first time I've seen him, but
right.
He's definitely a college prospect. Ooh, quick count here off the power eye, little toss. Look at the blocking on the outside.
And Jacob Bruno, it's so interesting because a guy who comes in with not nearly the hype that Danny Striano had last year. Danny was considered one of the better running backs on the island, but Bruno in his own way very, very effective as well. He certainly has quick feet.
He does have quick feet, and he has great vision. And I'm going to throw the props at the tight end, Alex Moynihan. What a great block on the outside. Him and Casey Reynolds. And this is a guy who's catching the ball, intercepting the ball, catching punts, but he's also making great blocks.
And
that's what you want to say.
Moynihan, this is his first year playing high school football. He was only on the lacrosse team, a senior, decided to go out for the football team this year, and he's been excellent. Bruno, again, with great blocking ahead of him, speeds down the right sideline. Flag comes on late, but after Bruno gained about 20.
Well, that was just a simple stretch play or what we call a bounce play, but came from the back, Judge, so that's probably going to be a hold somewhere.
At least as of now, though, we mentioned the Seaford defensive line was doing a really good job at the beginning of the game. Cold Spring Harbor has totally flipped that on its head, winning. Obviously, the hold will send it back there, but by and large, they've won those individual matchups, even with Seaford putting 5 on the line.
Absolutely, and that's a good call. I mean, it was right at the point of attack. It was an unnecessary block because he was going out of bounds, and you gained 16, 17 yards. The good thing is it's a spot foul. So you're not going back from the line of scrimmage. You're going back from the point of where the flag was. So you're now looking at 2nd down and 1.
Yeah, from the Seaford 49. John Menjensky mentioning that was probably the only flaw in his team through their first couple of games. A couple of penalties that just came in unnecessary situations, a few boneheaded plays here and there, but he said, you know what, we get those cleaned up. I feel pretty good about where my team is, and that is certainly proven out to be the case so far. As you see Richie Striano jog back from the sideline, and again, it's not out of the question they go play action and go down the field here.
Just thinking of the same thing. Just thinking of the same thing. What a great time for play action.
And instead they try to run it wide. Bruno in trouble immediately, but quick enough to get to the edge, still on his feet. Jacob Bruno, a stiff arm, still going and close to the 15. How about that? Jacob Bruno, have yourself a day.
Wow. Talk about a running back who has vision, who can make people miss. I mean, they have this play strung out. And then he just makes one cut, slips a tackle. Nice stiff arm right there. Could have been a face mask because his hand did go to the face mask.
You know, we
got away with it.
We got to call John Mandrensky after this game. He said Bruno was a good back. I think he undersold it a little bit. Bruno, one of the more talented runners I've seen so far this season.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of football in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, coaching at Massapequa, I've seen Plain Edge and Wantor and Freeport and everything else, and this is a solid football team right now.
Sestriano in the shotgun this time. Bruno brothers on either side of him. Seaford showing pressure. Sestriano keeps. Good vision, a little hesitation. He gets the edge, and he gets 6.
And another great block on the 5-yard line by who? Casey Reynolds. All right? It's a family affair.
Pure
Sestriano, Bruno, and then maybe he's a cousin Reynolds.
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure. we can ask. You know, if he exists, he will play in the second half the way this one is going. 34-0, 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. We were speculating a little bit during the break. Are they going to go do a running clock at any point? You almost feel like Rob Purple. He's so stubborn, and I say that in the best possible way, competitive. I almost don't think he's going to. He's going to want his team to fully experience this.
No, they'll fight to the end. I mean, listen, there's way too much pride, and this is one football game. This is only a half. They're not quitting. They're not throwing in a white towel. They're going to play hard.
I don't think he's quite in the mood for it, but I'd love to ask when the last time this happened was. You see Sestriano work out of the shotgun, a throwback, and wide open for 2 points. How do you lose Casey Reynolds like that? A total breakdown for Seaford, and things are falling apart at the seams for the Vikings. They're down by 36. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, and let's take another look at that touchdown, another showcase of Richie Sestriano's athletic ability.
Great block on the outside right there, and then watch the peel back block. And he didn't tattoo him, so it wasn't a defenseless player. He did a good job just making sure that he shielded him. He did, get into his chest a little bit, but there are guys that will take that cheap shot. He did not. And that's just a great run. There's great vision all around. This is what happens when you have athletes. All right, not just football players. These kids all play lacrosse. All right? And if you watch them on a lacrosse field, you wonder why they win state championships. And they're kind of taking both sports at the same time right now and utilizing their skill level. And this has always been my battle with people when they say, oh, well, my kids are going to get a scholarship for lacrosse or baseball or soccer, and that's all they do. They specialize it. You can see the athleticism, the vision, the strength right now with this Cold Spring Harbor team. All right? And it's a credit to the parents. It's a credit to the community that these kids, and hey, 10, 15 years ago, you didn't get the lacrosse kids playing football. Maybe once, maybe twice, you got it now. And there's a reason why. Hey, Garden City does it every year. I've seen Farmingdale do it. Kudos to the 2-sport, 3-sport athlete.
John Mendrensky, he credits that trend with essentially turning his program around, as you see a pretty solid return this time from Robert Necco. Cold Spring Harbor, it's hard to think about now given how great they look tonight, but after winning that Long Island Championship in 2005, they went through a long stretch where they were by and large average, at least by their standards, and it was John Mendrensky taking over as head coach 4 years ago. They went through a couple of different options after their star lacrosse coach, Dennis Bond, decided to only focus on that sport. And Mendrensky said, look, when he took over, he knew they had to get the lacrosse kids back. That's what sort of defined their program in the early 2000s when they were really good. And for years and years and years, those guys were only playing one sport. They got good on their own a little bit. The program became cool again. Guys wanted to be a part of it, and all of a sudden, even this year, you look at all the new guys, Alex Moynihan, Brady Stroud, 2 lacrosse stars. This is their first year playing football, and they're already making a difference for this Cold Spring Harbor team.
Because there's so many things that you can translate from a lacrosse field to the football field. And Coach Bond won some Long Island championships himself. All right, he's another great coach. And I can guarantee that the two of them sat down and said, hey, if we want this to work, we need to work together. And that's what coaches in the school are supposed to do, work together. A small school like Cold Spring Harbor, you got to share athletes.
And it helps. Mendrensky was an assistant under Bond for his final 7 or so years, starting there in 2008, waiting his time, spent about 7 years working under 3 different coaches, eventually got the call to be a head coach. It paid off in a Long Island championship in just his 4th season last year. And if anything, we've noted it again and again, looking like they're better this season.
Oh, they're much better. And I'm going to say this. He's got a great coaching staff. Mike Pasuelo, he's been around. Mark Green, been around. Mark Green was a head coach at Great Neck for a long time. And he took some very average Great Neck North teams, and he made them into a playoff contender. And he's done a great job. There's a lot of head coaches out there that are now assistants, me speaking as one. And, sometimes you're as good as your assistants, and sometimes your assistants can help you. And, he's not just a dictator right now. He's letting his assistants coach. And he's got a great staff, as does Coach Papal. He's got a phenomenal staff. And something? It's a nice mesh right now. And, listen, it's hard watching this a little bit right now because you're not used to it. It's always been the other way. So it's a true character builder right now to see what's going to happen on the other sideline and how they come out in the second half.
So third and 5 from the 38 went nowhere, and immediately you see Seaford coming out to go for it on fourth down.
And they went right back to their bread and butter. Double tight, power eye.
Timeout taken by the Seaford side, so we'll take a quick break with them. Down by 36, the Vikings desperately need this one when we come back on the Varsity Media Sports Network. So Seaford has to come up with something creative here, down by 36. They've failed to convert on fourth down 4 times so far in this first half. Gavin Shaw, Mike Spina here with you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Mike, you're currently an assistant coach at Massapequa, longtime head coach at Floral Park. What's it like for you being on the other side of this, participating in one of our broadcasts?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be hopefully a career for me when I retire, take a class or 2 when I retire. And
Sure.
I just love football. I love coaching all sports. I mean, I'm the girls' basketball coach. I own my own football camp. And that's what I talked about in the first quarter. Fourth down, under 5 yards. Wouldn't be surprised if they try to draw him off sides.
It was Dom Scriano jumping that time, but it was a false start that drew him off sides. And it's just that kind of day for Seaford, right? You finally seemingly have something go right, and immediately wiped off the board, instead going the other way.
Sometimes you just get those nights where nothing goes right, everything you do just turns bad. And being on that side as a coach and a former coach, head coach, you just sit there and you look at the clock and you say, guys, don't look at the score, just play hard. Just get something positive. We're going to get out of here healthy. We're going to regroup, but let's not get hurt. Let's play hard. If you relax, you're going to get hurt. Some other kids are going to eventually get some playing time today. Some of the second and thirds will get some playing time. But you just want to keep fighting. And this is a life lesson right now. They've been on the other side many, many, many times.
Literally in every game so far this season, and a concession from Mendrensky as they decide to punt it. Maybe not quite worth it, as it will only give them about 15 yards betterment in terms of field position. When we come back, Cold Spring Harbor will start off on their own 46 on the Varsity Media Sports Network, up by 36 with 5:43 to go in the second quarter.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility for all your sport maintenance, body preservation, and daily tune-up work.
First and 10 for Cold Spring Harbor on their own 46. Give is to who else? Jacob Bruno, who's had himself a half. You'd guess at this point quite a bit over 100 yards. A couple of touchdowns.
Now
been pretty dominant.
Now Seaford's coming with 7 or 8 guys in the box. They're just loading it up. They're going to be blitzing A and B gap right now. It wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden he breaks another clean one for a touchdown.
Well, that's what we saw on that touchdown. It was chaos at the line. He got through it and all the way down the field. And it was interesting that I thought that John Mendrensky focused so much on the dominance of his defensive line. All the same guys on the OL, and they've been up to the task against this big Seaford front.
Well, they're big and strong, Cold Spring. They're not just athletic. I mean, there's a little power play right there. And Seaford did a good job getting into the gap. It looks like the nose guard, number 34, Christopher Saras, did a real good job shedding the block and making that tackle. But it's been very few and far, good defensive plays right now. So, again, I told you, Seaford's got way too much pride to lay down right now. And, if they get it right now, Cold Spring to punt, that's a positive. Yeah. And that's something to build on. And it might be something small, for a lot of people. But as a coach, you're sitting there saying, hey, anything that's positive right now, no matter if it's the biggest or smallest thing, we're going to take it.
It'll bring up 3rd and 6 from the 38. Striano working under center, 2 backs behind him. They give wide to Bruno, blockers ahead. Bruno dodges an initial tackler and then just smothered by 3 white jerseys.
And the key to that play was Greg Ackerman, number 44, the right defensive end. He did a great job stringing it out so that the rest of his team could come in and pursue. And then, when you look at the way he made that play, he said, hey, you're not getting outside me one more time. It's happened too many times today. Now, this is an interesting call. It's 4th down and a long 7. You're up 36-0. You're at the 49-yard line. Instead of punting the ball and just going in, he's lining up to go for it.
Yeah, continuing that aggressiveness. You almost would have thought if that was the mentality, they might have tried to toss it downfield a little earlier in the drive, but they were playing 3rd down for 4th down. Timeout taken by Seaford. You better know that they want this stop. We'll take a break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. 4th down coming up when we come back. So 4th down coming up for Cold Spring Harbor, and unless they change their minds during this timeout, Mike, an interesting call from John Mendrensky. Why would they be going for it here?
I just think that he's trying to put the nail in the coffin right now in the first half. He's still got his ones in. And again, I'm going to sit there and say this. It's still the first half. All right? At this point right now, the shoe's been on the other side. And both teams know what it's like to be on the winning end, and both teams know what it's like to be on the losing end. And right now, you don't want Seaford to get any momentum. Seaford makes them punt. Seaford feels good about themselves. You got something positive. They get this 4th down conversion, you put Seaford back on that mode of, hey, still didn't get something positive.
Casey Reynolds has gotten some one-on-one matchups, has one here. He's open downfield. Can Striano throw it to him? Now he chucks it. Reynolds over his head. He stopped running on that play because he was open, but a flag comes in late. Might have been a late hit on Casey Reynolds.
That's what it looks like. The play looked like it was over. I'm assuming that it's a late hit because there was no interference. He's rolling. Strong arm. Ball's over his head. And I guess you're going to say hitting a defenseless receiver. That's what the call looks like it's going to be right now. So, again, Seaford gets a 4-down stop, should feel good about themselves, gets a little momentum, and then there it is, that late flag. And don't get me wrong, there's no way that kid maliciously tried to hit him. It's part of the action. It's the right call, all right, because it is almost like a defenseless receiver. The receiver was up in the air. I don't like it. It's the right call. And, you see people that are intentionally going to go in late. I think it's part of the play itself. It's tough to stop your momentum in the middle of a play. And it's just one of those unfortunate things.
I think you have to give it to Richie Striano, though. His ability to keep that play alive, the only reason they had a chance to get that penalty. Striano ball fake, takes a shot. Reynolds running after it. This one too far ahead of him.
That was real good coverage by Roboto. I mean, he was right on Casey that time. That's what I expected right from the get-go. Real tight coverage. And again, 3:10 left. They're going for one more score.
We've seen Striano drop some dimes in this first half still. A little bit of inconsistency on some of those deep balls. What do you see from him? And maybe this isn't the right game to ask you, but where you could still improve as a quarterback and continue to get sharper. When you remember, this is only his 4th high school game playing quarterback, at least on the varsity level.
Well, he's got the arm strength. I just think he has to work on getting a little air under the ball and a little bit of touch.
Right.
But who am I to criticize right now?
No,
I mean,
it's hard. It was
hard
probably
to
the wrong
criticize.
question to ask.
His numbers are great. His game control is great. His running ability is great. I mean, to sit there and say he needs to put a little bit of touch on that, we're reaching
Picking
for
nits
straws
a little bit, yeah. Look like they're going to run again. They do just that. Bruno lost the football, able to get right back up on it. It was a couple turnovers from Seaford that shifted things in the first quarter. Nearly one on the other end there that, again, would have given them a little bit of momentum, but the story of the night for Seaford, they get close, and they can't quite pull it off.
Like I said, it's one of those nights, but they're still fighting. They're still playing hard. And, again, you're still looking for that one positive to go into halftime and say, hey, listen, we stopped them on 4 downs, which they did, but the penalty. So right now, that's their goal right now, and I'm sure that's what Coach Papal is telling his kids. Hey, get me a stop. Get me a stop. Let's go. We'll go into halftime. We'll talk about it. We'll get something positive out of it.
I'd say this performance from Cold Spring Harbor even more impressive when you consider they haven't beaten a team by 36 points all season, and Seaford far and away the best competition they've faced. Striano on the run. Oh, boy, is he shifty, sticking up. Oh, he's still going. Richie Striano, one more stiff arm. Stumbles into pay dirt. That could be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's 2 stiff arms right in a row, but I think they're calling him out of bounds.
Yeah.
It looks like they're saying he's out at the 11-yard line, 10-yard line. But, wow, was that impressive. I mean, that's just what we call a boss power, and he's just basically manhandling the Seaford defense by himself.
This little Marshawn Lynch-esque from Richie Striano there. And the guy he replaced at quarterback, Ray Costra, was also an athlete. John Mendrensky saying they were about equal, but I don't remember Costra doing that too much last year. That's just next-level stuff for Richie Striano.
Well, he's built like a fullback.
Right.
Which is what he was.
Striano operating from under center this time, trying to make that right as Bruno stumbles his way for about 3 yards. It'll be second and about 7.
And that was just power football right there. Now you can see they're milking the clock a little bit. They're not in a rush. They're not rushing up to the ball. Do they want to score? Absolutely. That's evident by going for it on 4th down. That's evident by throwing the ball. So they're looking to get this number up to 40. And then I'm sure in the second half you're going to see they're going to empty the bench. And don't forget, they get the ball in the second half.
And it's a good point because that obviously gives Coach Mendrensky the flexibility to just be comfortable and say, okay, this game is all sealed up, and it's interesting. I'm always interested to see what that number is for different coaches. For some it's 30, for some it's 40. It's a little bit of an anxiety thing. When do you allow yourself to get comfortable? Bruno making him a little bit more comfortable there, walking in for 6, just handing the ball to the official, and a half of near picture-perfect football continues for Cold Spring Harbor as they go up by 42.
Yeah, and that was just a simple blast play out of the power right there, and they pulled the guard, and they just kicked out. And, again, right now Seaford has absolutely no answers for what Cold Spring's doing, whether it's spread, whether it's power. They don't have an answer. This is a very, very impressive offensive line. And to be honest with you, it's their defensive line as well. It's the same guys.
Right.
It's a family affair tonight.
And it's just a testament to the versatility of those players. I mean, obviously playing both sides of the ball, but also running some power eye, running some pro style, running some spread, able to do it all. Striano takes his time, throws it to Reynolds, who lays out a defender, picks up the 2-point conversion. I'm sure that'll draw the ire of Seaford. John Mendrensky has been pretty insistent on not kicking. It was funny, I was talking to him during the week, Mike, and asking him, what do you think your field goal kicker's range is? And he said, we think Will can kick out to 30 yards, but honestly, I call the offense. I'm not putting the kicker out there too often.
Well, I might have kicked that one. I don't know if I would have went for 2 on that. 44, and there is a rule in Nassau County. It's a sportsmanship rule, and it's a number of 42. And you got to make sure that, if you're winning by more than 42 points, that you're doing everything possible not to show somebody up. And you're at that number. Right now you're at 44. So I'm assuming that will be the last pass that we're going to see and the last hurry-up offense we're going to see for a while.
And you mentioned this isn't necessarily a traditional rivalry, but are we seeing that a little bit from Coach Mendrensky, that maybe there is a tiny bit of bad blood between these two teams just because of how good they both are for so long over the last couple of years?
I don't know if I'm going to say bad blood. I just think it's respect.
Sure.
I think both teams respect each other. And I think that this is Cold Springs Harbor of saying, hey, guys, we're the top dog now. All right, and we're going to show you we're the top dog.
And you talk about respect maybe for the idea that, hey, Seaford is really good. They could still make this a game if they get things going in the second half. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen. It's Necco on the return. He's had a couple of good moments, weaving his way through traffic here up to about the 35. And that's been really the strength of this Seaford attack, the special teams. A couple of good returns. They get good field position again. The question is, with a minute left in a run-based offense, can they do anything with it?
I don't even think they're going to try. I think that at this point, you just want to get into halftime. You just want to regroup. I mean, listen, every great coach and every great team has gotten their butts kicked once in a blue moon. Everybody. All right, we've all done it. We've been on both sides. It's not a good feeling either way. All right, even when you're up 44-0, it's not a great feeling.
Yeah,
you want a competition. That's what high school sports is about, competition. So I would think that in the second half, this is what you're going to see. Power football for both teams. I think the clock's going to be moving a little bit here, and then we'll see what happens. I will tell you this: the second time these two teams play, and I'm going to make a prediction that it's going to be in the Nassau County Finals, you're not going to see 44-0 at halftime.
No, he's certainly going to have a fired-up Seaford side for that one. You just wonder, in 23 years for Coach Purple, has he ever had a game like this? This almost feels unique, just given Seaford, you said it, they've been the class of Conference 4 just about as long as you can remember.
Well, they're not going anywhere too soon, all right? They're not, they're going to be around for a long time. They got great, listen, I own a football camp in Seaford, and some of these kids probably showed up at my camp 5-6 years ago, and we have a ton of Seaford kids. And my son plays for the Massapequa Mustangs, and, we play the Seaford Broncos, and it's a great organization there. So they're not – just don't count this half as a demise. It's a half.
And it was certainly a dominant one for Cold Spring Harbor. They're up 44-0. Unbelievable when this game started off. We thought it was going to be a classic. Instead, the Seahawks have turned this into a laugher. Coming up at halftime, our own Ben Turchin will be talking with Kevin Albus, owner of Recovery Physical Therapy, sponsor of tonight's stream. Really excited to get to that as we take a break here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. It's been all Cold Spring Harbor after one.
Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down to go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Why no water, that the sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Here we come. And when you hear the sound of the drum, we'll be saying, here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come. Yeah. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down to go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Why no water, that the sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Here we come. And when you hear the sound of the drum, we'll be saying, here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come.
And welcome back to Cold Spring Harbor. Our score at halftime, the Seahawks with a commanding 44-0 lead over the Seaford Vikings. Ben Turchin here with our sponsor of tonight's live stream, and we're happy to have him, Kevin Alves of Recovery Physical Therapy located in Huntington. Kevin, we appreciate you joining the live stream today and sponsoring this game. We want to talk a little bit about your business, about your company, which I think, and many will feel this way, can be very beneficial and advantageous to high school athletes. So thanks for coming on, and tell us a little bit about your business.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're freshly new in town, 10 months in. We're the first recreational physical therapy company on the market, providing services for all athletes and anyone of all ages who just wants a quick little tune-up, wants to play better, wants to stay injury-free, and basically is just looking to preserve their body, maintain their body, and just stay pain-free and injury-free for whatever they're trying to do.
As you watch and see Kevin's place, Recovery, in Huntington, first tell us, where is this place? Beautiful facilities, by the way. Where are you located?
So we're actually located right off of East Main Street, right across the street from Finley Middle School, in a beautiful new building that was constructed there about a year ago on Loma Place. It's right in between the Fork, Southampton-looking house. Very phenomenal facility.
And why is it so important for athletes at the high school level, maybe the college level? Why is it so important for an athlete to come see you?
It's as simple as just maintaining their bodies. These kids are working 5-6 days a week, working hard, putting in the hours. They're sitting in school all day. So we're just reversing all that, stretching them out, hooking them up with the massage, just basically treating these kids like professional athletes. They're doing the same thing these guys are, and they deserve the maintenance.
Can you tell, or do athletes tell you that they notice a difference in their performance after they come see you?
Absolutely, especially these high school athletes, these teenagers. These kids are going through growth spurts. They're growing tremendously fast, and they need to maintain their bodies. They're way more prone to injury than any of these professional athletes, especially at this age. They're super vulnerable, and these kids come back. They love it. It's a great setting. It's very homey, not like any other physical therapy clinic. We do not accept insurance, and these kids get pampered. They get pampered, and they absolutely love it. They come back. They tell me they're performing better. They're running faster. They're doing everything that they expect themselves to be doing. They're pushing their body to their limits and even higher.
Well, if you like what you hear and you're thinking about maybe, let me check this place out, Recovery. Kevin, I know you have a special offer for those that are watching right now. We're going to pull it up on the screen, as you can see right here. If you screenshot this image right here, you can come into your place. Tell us what you're going to offer.
So with a quick screenshot, you could come in and get your first free recovery session on us. Kids will get a full stretch, 60-minute stretch, massage, and just get pampered for a full 60 minutes. And if they like it, they come back. If not,
they'll like it. They're going to like it. So all they have to do, again, is take a picture of this. If you're listening, you're watching right now, take a picture of this. You see the phone number is right there, 631-629-1261. With your phone right now, take a picture of this. Come in to see Kevin, and you're going to get a free stretch or massage. You cannot beat that offer. That's too good to be true.
That's unbelievable.
Tell us again, where's your address? Where can they find you?
Right off of East Main Street, across the street from Finley Middle School, on Loma Place. Beautiful Southampton-looking house. Can't miss it. Right in between the Fork.
We want to thank Kevin Alves for coming on in the halftime show with us and for sponsoring today's broadcast here from Cold Spring Harbor. We hope that you do take advantage of the recovery offer. It's a great business and will help high school athletes and the like all over Long Island, and especially in the Huntington, Cold Spring Harbor area. Kevin, thank you very much. We will take a timeout, and we'll be back with more of the second half here from Cold Spring Harbor on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Interested in sponsoring a live stream broadcast? Varsity Media Streams offer tremendous visibility for your business. Contact us today at 866-577-1950 for rates and packages. Interested in sponsoring a live stream broadcast? Varsity Media Streams offer tremendous visibility for your business. Contact us today at 866-577-1950 for rates and packages. Interested in sponsoring a live stream broadcast? Varsity Media Streams offer tremendous visibility for your business. Contact us today at 866-577-1950 for rates and packages. Interested in sponsoring a live stream broadcast? Varsity Media Streams offer tremendous visibility for your business. Contact us today at 866-577-1950 for rates and packages.
Back to action. Second half about to get underway here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Gavin Shaw alongside Coach Mike Spina. It was all Seahawks in half number one, up by 44, and prepping for an onside kick from Seaford as we get ready to open up the second half of play.
Yeah, he was practicing in warm-ups, and he's going to their sideline. He's got the tee already angled. The ball is on an angle, so it's either going to be some kind of a pooch or a hard squib. And Cold Spring's got 10 guys within 10 yards of the ball. So, they're going to try anything and everything, just like I said. They want to get something positive out of this, and I'm going to be curious to see the fight that Seaford has right now.
It's Tim Russell to kick it. 5'9", 175 pounds, not necessarily built like your typical kicker, but he's going to try and get the ball right back, kick right up the middle, and an easy recovery as it dribbled right into the waiting hands of Jacob Bruno.
No, believe it or not, it was actually Joe Kane who did that, and what he did was a little bit of a middle onside where he kicks the ball a little bit softer, waits for the ball to be touched, and then he goes into the pile and they try to, jar the ball loose.
Yeah.
Unsuccessful. So, again, Seaford's going to get the ball. Cold Spring's going to get the ball at midfield. Not ideal for Seaford, but jogging out, for quarterback right now is still Richie Stroiano, so he's still in the game. He still has, some of his number ones still in the game right now, it looks like.
You wonder how aggressive this Cold Spring Arbor offense is going to be coming out. Obviously, down that final drive of the second half, they were still pushing the ball down the field. They were going for it. Went for a fourth down, got it. Eventually turned into another touchdown for Jacob Bruno, who walked in standing up.
And it looks like Jacob Bruno got the first carry of the second half. So right now they still have, most of their ones in. And to be honest with you, I really don't expect the ball to be in the air. I think it's going to be more run. If you have to punt. Just milk the clock out. Let's try to get out of here with nobody getting hurt.
I thought the most interesting thing to come out of that final drive was you were telling me there's a sportsmanship rule. Once you go over 42, you're not necessarily encouraged to continue to try to keep running up the score. Instead, Cold Spring Harbor went for 2 in that situation. You wonder what the logic was behind that, and also whether or not there are going to be any repercussions.
That's up for discussion right now. I mean, they did put that rule in because of the lopsided score. They had the rule 2 years ago where the number was 40. They moved the number up to 42. Again, it's up for interpretation. I don't see any reason why, there would be an issue right now. I mean, right now he's run, basically double tight, power eye, and he's just run 2 straight dives right up the middle. You have a timeout here. This is an interesting timeout call.
So Seaford trying to gather their resources. It'll be 3rd and 10 from midfield when we come back on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Clock is going.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility for all your sport maintenance, body preservation, and daily tune-up work. Located on Main Street in Huntington. Physical therapy at its finest.
So here we go, 3rd and 10 from midfield. No running clock in this second half. Coach Purpall for Seaford didn't want it, and it's going to burn him right here as Jacob Bruno, looking back at the defender, will probably get a penalty for taunting.
He's going to get a penalty for taunting, and if you notice, he ran out of bounds.
Yeah, and
he did not try to score, but there was a crushing block on that play by Dom Striano. He absolutely pancaked the cornerback for Seaford on that.
He's kicked some butt, and Striano, maybe seeing that flag, didn't want to compound the issue, decided to just jog out of bounds. It was interesting. There was a great article on Newsday about the Striano brothers, and they were talking about all the qualities each of them have, saying, Petey's the smart one, Richie's a little bit of everyone, Danny's the fast one, Dom, he was the strong one of the four of them, and you've seen that. He's a bull on an offensive line.
You've seen all three. Now, it's interesting because there's a discussion going on right now about the flag. But that flag was thrown as soon as he looked back as he was running. The flag was thrown. And I don't think Coach is too happy right now.
But to me, at least, that's been the most shocking element of this game. We knew that Cold Spring Harbor would have a chance to win outside with Casey Reynolds, but they've dominated the line of scrimmage. We've talked about it again and again and again. But to me, I thought it was going to be pretty even on both sides of the ball, because that's generally, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike, where those Seaford teams are built and where they're usually so good.
Yes, it's been their bread and butter for years and years, but just right now they're just getting dominated.
And the question for Cold Spring Harbor is just how much competition are they going to have the rest of this regular season? You look at Seaford, and you said you would still predict them to make the conference championship ultimately. Where does Cold Spring Harbor face someone of their caliber on this schedule?
Long Island Championship?
Yeah, I guess so. I had a tough game last year against Shoreham. Wading River, obviously, on the legs of Danny Striano, ultimately able to come up on top there.
It was a fumble on the snap. It looked like it was a quick fullback dive, but it looked like there was a problem with the exchange right there, and it looked like the ball was on the ground, but it looks like they recovered it.
Yeah, that's been the trend all game for Cold Spring Harbor. A couple of near turnovers, hasn't come back to bite them. Seaford, conversely, threw an interception in the first half and lost the ball on a fumble as Cold Spring Harbor started pulling away early. You see those defensive linemen on their knees awaiting another burst here from Cold Spring Harbor.
Yeah, I think if they want, they'll go sweep outside.
Certainly plenty of room. And instead they run the little counter. Again, essentially up the middle. Bruno will get about a yard or two.
Setting up a fourth down.
Yeah.
You're not going to punt here. Do you kick the field goal? Probably not. You'll probably run the same play inside. They've had a lot of success running outside and getting to the edge. Where Seaford's played well is inside. Cold Spring's defensive line or offensive line they're big, they're strong. They've had no trouble getting outside. So at this point right now, if you want to score or you want a first down, you're probably going outside.
Cold Spring Harbor has punted maybe once in this game. Striano give left. Plenty of room this time for Ben Bruno.
Short.
Though he'll be stopped short, as you noted.
Yeah, that's not the same type of run that you saw in the first half.
No.
Now, granted, they have their ones in, but they definitely have some kind of a message right now about,
tone it down a little.
Tone it down.
Hey, excuse me, that was actually Jacob Bruno on the carry, again coming off short. Fortunately for him, he can just stay right in there to play defense. You don't see too many guys coming off the field when there's a switch. It's sort of disarming for someone, you watch a lot of college football, you watch a lot of the NFL, you see where's everyone going? It's all the same dudes.
11 on, 11 off, not here. And actually, somewhere where I lost it down because it's fourth down now.
Yeah. Well, that would explain it.
We lost it down
I was like, everyone stayed out there. That seems a little off. All right, so 4th and 2 maybe, and plenty of room again for Jacob Bruno. And he'll go down at about the 3 again. Didn't seem to finish off that run the way he had been in the first half, not necessarily pushing to his fullest extent to score.
No, he did not. I heard somebody in the stands go, get down, get down. So somebody in the stands must know the rule. But
it just feels weird when it's still a football game. We don't have a running clock. I don't know if it's my place to remark on this, but what do you think about it, Mike? I mean, it's sort of my mentality that you score if you can in that situation, but I get that you got to be conservative and run the ball. But then when you're on the precipice of goal, you go in, right?
It's hard because what do? You can't take a knee because that's showing somebody up.
Sure.
And I have seen that since this rule came in. I saw somebody in the fourth quarter. Beginning of the fourth quarter, and they were up 40, they took a knee.
Yeah.
And the other coach was yelling across, what are you doing? You're showing us up. Because if you score, even if it's a second and thirds, you could be subject, they said. You're not definitely subject, but you could be.
No, that's my point. That's why I think it's ridiculous. It's such a half measure. Like, look at this. Ben Bruno right on the precipice of goal, and he'll go down at the 1. Again, probably could have pushed his way in and seemed to stall his momentum a little, but it's still either play the game or don't, I guess would be my argument. Right. If you're not going to play, then what are we doing here?
Right. So that's the problem, too, is like if you're not going to have your kids run hard, and that's...
Isn't that dangerous a little bit, too? Because on offense, you're going half speed. The defenders, the guys on Seaford, they're fired up. They're going to probably hit Ben Bruno as hard as they possibly can.
Or go with your second and thirds.
Sure. All right. Well, that would make a lot more sense to me.
Because those kids play hard in practice. Those are your scout team guys, and those are the kids that should be playing right now. And
I guess in Conference 4, that is just something of an issue of depth. You see second and thirds do these teams.
Right.
Do third guys exist? Is that it? Just there are only so many players you can put in, I guess.
See, this is what I can't stand. This is not football. They're taking a knee.
Yeah.
They're taking a knee because you know the rule. So what you like?
Why do it? You might as well. I mean, it's sort of like you need the new intentional walk rule in baseball, where you can just call it. Just call it. Just say 4 downs. Okay, we'll give them the ball. We'll take 2-3 minutes off the clock. Or I think what you said to your point. Why not put it in your backups if you're John Mendrensky in this situation?
Unless you don't have the backups.
Right. If those guys don't exist, they don't exist.
And in the smaller schools, sometimes they don't have the backups, which is it could happen. But like to me, Coach Paul probably doesn't like this either. He'd rather see them score and just play football.
Right.
I mean, to me, people in the stands right now that don't know the rule are probably going, what is going on right now? Both teams, both parents, like, why are they taking an A? There are some parents that are saying that's good sportsmanship, but there are other parents that are saying this is showing them up even more.
Right.
By taking a knee.
Yeah. And it's one thing if there's 2 minutes left on the clock and you're running out the game, but we're in the middle of the third quarter.
5 minutes to go in the third quarter and you're taking an A.
Strange.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. And another one coming up here. So I guess to change the topic a little bit, the upcoming schedule for Cold Spring Harbor, Valley Stream South, Clark, Malvern, West Hempstead. Any of the teams I mentioned there stand out to you as potential competition for this group, or are they just going to be rolling through the rest of this regular season?
They're going to roll.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
I know the coaching staffs. I know the teams. Clark's a good football team. West Hempstead has been good, but I think they're down.
Right.
Coach Lockwood at Malvern's got athletes, but not to this caliber.
All right. So here,
nobody has the line that Cold Spring has.
Right. So I guess here's a different debate for you. You say probably not going to see any competition to the Long Island Championship. We were talking about this during halftime. It's sort of a strange characteristic of Long Island football. All these teams are by choice not eligible to play in the New York State tournament. I guess just to your knowledge, because I didn't know that going in. As we finally see Seaford take over on offense, what's the rationale behind that? As you see about a 4-yard gain up the middle here, and a good fight on that carry by the backup running back Christopher Sarasi. What's the logic behind that, and do you think that should shift?
Listen, I'm an upstate guy. I went to school at Nanuet High School, and we played for state championships up there. So for me, that would be a kid's dream to go play for a state championship, play in front of the Carrier Dome. In a 70,000 or 90,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I coached girls basketball. We played for a state championship, and I have to tell you, that's a memory I'll never, ever forget. I had my kids with me. My kids wore the same color as me. It was nothing like it. Even though we lost in the finals, just that atmosphere, just knowing that you're playing for a state championship. And these kids here, especially for Cold Spring, these kids play for a state championship in lacrosse.
Yeah.
We have state championships in every single sport except for football. Now, the Long Island Championship is a big thing. but that would be the state quarterfinals. The problem is Long Island has so many schools, they would have to reconfigure all the classifications because we really don't have any. We have maybe one D or C, Class C school. So that would be the problem that would have to, be looked at, was how do you configure Nassau and Suffolk County with all the classifications? Because we have 4 conferences. In Conference 1, it's all AA schools. In Conference 2, you have AA schools, but you have A schools.
Yeah.
You have A schools playing AA schools. Conference 3, you have pretty much A schools. Conference 4, you have A schools, then you have some B schools, and then you might have a C or a D school. Like East Rockaway is a small school in Nassau County.
Sure.
So what do you do with them? Do you match them up with somebody with Suffolk County? Where do you go? It would be a lot of headaches with the scheduling, but like I've talked to people about it all the time, there's nothing like playing for a state championship.
They do it in every other sport, right? So that's what confuses me. I mean, they're able to figure it out across the board as you see a big-time tackle that time from James Celestino. And I guess that's what confuses me. Has it always been that way where Long Island doesn't play for state championships? Or because I've never heard about it.
We've never done it since I've been out. And I've been out in Long Island since 1985. And they started the Long Island Championships in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So it's never really been done. The problem, and there's a lot of logistics that go in. Money is a big factor. Busing, classifications, starting the season a week earlier than we actually do because now you got to go from the state championship backwards, so your season might start the beginning of August. Where we start August 19th, you might have to start August 13th. Now, do they do that upstate? Yeah, well, it's also a lot colder upstate.
Sure.
Do they do that in Rockland and Westchester County where I start? Yes. But they only play like a 6 or 7 game schedule. If you don't make the playoffs, then you play a bowl game or a crossover game. There's good and bad to that. I like what we do. I love what we do. The Long Island Championship is awesome. We get thousands of people. Suffolk County travels well. Nassau travels well. The venues, Stony Brook and Hofstra, are awesome. But there's nothing like playing for a state championship.
Yeah.
You have 4 teams from either Nassau or Suffolk. They'll all cheer for each other. You might battle each other in the Long Island, but they'll all cheer for each other up there. And I know a lot of coaches and a lot of people would love to go sit in that Carry Dome and watch a game.
And give Seaford some credit right now. The combination of Andrew Volpe and Christopher Sarasi running really hard as they approach midfield. It's worth noting, last year, I was at it, Cold Spring Harbor playing Shoreham Wading River in lacrosse, and it was this incredible game. Cold Spring Harbor went up by about 8 with 7 minutes left. Shoreham Wading River comes storming back. They eventually win it. And that game was incredible, and I don't think it took anything away from it that Shoreham Wading River went on to win their next 2 games and win a state title. If anything, it made it even more epic because that game had stakes beyond just the Long Island Championship. It kept them alive for that state championship, and that's sort of what I loved about it, that it was meaningful in and of itself, but it also had implications for the future.
Sure, absolutely. And it's the same thing with the double A's in lacrosse with Massapequa and Ward Melville.
Right, absolutely.
That was basically
those are the 2 best teams every year.
Every year. That's the state championship game. Even though it's only the quarterfinals, the winner of that in the last 2 years has won the state championship.
Right, and that's essentially true every season, but the fact that they get to play those games and actually call them, because it could have been Cold Spring Harbor last year. They might have been competitive. I'm not sure. There was a whole lot of talent across the state of New York in the sport of football, but I'm sure, especially this year, they're even better. You don't think those kids would want the chance to prove that they're the best in the state? That's just crazy.
And the funny part is they would probably be either a B or a C school.
Right.
So they would be playing really the smaller schools.
Yeah.
Right now, Freeport is ranked number 1 in New York State. All right? People know how good they are.
Yeah.
I would love to see Freeport play the top team.
Sure.
If listen, Massapequa, we want to beat them.
Yeah.
But if we don't beat them, I would root for them in a heartbeat.
Right.
Russ Ellen he's a class operation over there. They do a great job over there with those kids.
Yeah.
And if we're not beating them, then if they're going to the LSC, I'm rooting for them. If they went to the state championship, I would root for them. Would I ever go watch them play? Sure, I would go watch them play.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm coaching girls basketball, so my season begins. But if we were there,
sure.
Hey, take the bus. Let's go.
All right, and we'll continue this conversation in the fourth quarter as the clock of the third ticks down. Both teams just trying to get out of this one. Injury 3, Cold Spring Harbor still up by 44 as we hit the end of the third quarter here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Back to action on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Just one possession apiece for these two teams in the third quarter. We were just talking about in our press box, nobody going out of bounds, everyone running the ball nearly picture perfect in terms of a speed perspective. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 35 for Seaford. Again, Gavin Shaw here with you alongside Mike Spina, the assistant coach at nearby Massapequa High School. Another give up the middle, trying out a number of different backs is Seaford. That time getting the ball 75. Was A.J. Arguello, who's just a sophomore, 5'10", 170. They have some big boys in
yes,
that backfield.
There are. Interesting with a 75 number that he's playing running back.
Yeah.
Could be even a JV kid. Is he? What year is he? He's a 10th grader. Could be a JV kid coming up for today.
Just gets up, yeah.
You know, it's very possible. But both teams have a lot of their seconds in right now, which is the right thing to do. You don't want your first guys to get hurt. So, it's again, we're not going to see the ball in the air. You might see one more punt, maybe. But both teams are doing the right thing.
Going outside with it this time, Jake Murphy, a junior, maybe another guy who's had some good moments on JV into the game at quarterback. Kyle Stark, a sophomore, 5'9", 150. So he gets an opportunity to make some throws. It's worth noting, we didn't get to see much of it today, but Logan Masters, a pretty talented QB in his own right. I would argue, and this sounds insane given his team lost by 44, I think he had the play of the day when he was under pressure from Peter Striano and was able to launch it downfield on that left sideline and able to find Robuato for that amazing catch.
Yeah, because he was going backwards. Look at this hard run right here. Not going down with one tackle, running through the arm tackles of two more.
Yeah, Volpe that time.
Yeah, listen, both teams, again, a lot of pride on the far side right now with the Seaford Vikings. They're going to play hard. I don't care who's in the game. You tell your kids, hey, play hard. And you tell the guys that aren't playing, root for your teammates. These are your brothers. These are the guys that break their butts every single day in practice to make you better.
Seaford playing with a whole lot of force right now, a lot of energy. Nice little shiftiness from the big sophomore Arguello there.
Yeah, good jump cut. Tough to go down. Looked like somebody from Cold Spring came up with the ball, but to no avail.
And that kind of size is encouraging. Seaford just seems to churn those kids out in the backfield. Again, going with the mostly, at least by their standards, smaller running back tandem this year. Vicio, 5'10", 160. Volpe, 5'7", 150. So maybe prioritizing speed over size a little bit, but certainly able to compensate for it with how good their offensive line generally is. Just ran into a buzzsaw today with this Cold Spring Harbor front four.
Yeah, well, this is probably the best line they've seen in a while. I mean, and this is usually, like I said, the shoe's usually on the other side right now or on the other foot. Seaford's always been very dominant on the offense and defensive line. They've always had big, strong kids. Right now, this year, I would say that advantage goes to Cold Spring. They're big, they're strong, and they're athletic.
Yeah, it was funny talking to John Mindrensky. I was asking, all right, so who stands out on the defensive line? Like, who's the flash guy? And he said, honestly, this sounds like coach speak, but it's all of them. They're all really, really good. And that's the issue for offensive linemen. You don't know where to double. You don't know where to send your running back to help. There's just so much talent across the board. The backups get beat there. Nearly into the end zone that time was Jake Murphy, but stopped right on the precipice, so it'll be third and very short coming up next.
Nope. It looks like they gave him the yards.
Wow,
it looks like it's going to be 1st and goal, actually.
All right, 1st and goal for Murphy. So 4 chances for Seaford as long as they don't turn it over to punch it in and get on the board. Again, all about pride, all about the cosmetics of the scoreboard at this point, just trying to make it look a little bit more manageable and presumably to build up the confidence of your team a little bit. If you've been on this roster even for 4 years, probably have never been a part of a game like this. And getting shut down at the line that time was Murphy.
Yeah, and he was stopped about a yard and a half in the backfield. Caden Hawkins came in flying from the outside on that. And right now, it doesn't matter who's on the field. Seaford's pride wants him to score. But there's a group right now in red that is doing everything to preserve this shutout. They're not saying, hey, guys, go ahead, score. They're going at it. Right now, if you look at the battle up front, they're shooting gaps right now. They're blitzing linebackers. There's your outside toss, and there's nobody outside.
Yeah, Murphy on the sprint. It was a good job hustling from Sean McCauley, the junior. But Seaford will have their points, 44-6. the Vikings finally get on the board.
Yeah, well, when you have 11 guys inside the box, you got to do something different. And, Coach Paul, great call. Go outside. But again, that's a pride thing right now. There's two very prideful teams playing at a very different level right now, but that's not to tell you, hey, we're going to give up. And that's evident by this clock. There are many high school football games when you see a score of 44-0 that the coaches will agree. Run the clock, run the clock, run the clock. That's not happening here. They're playing it out. They're playing football the way it's supposed to be played.
It happened in our game last night. Freeport just absolutely dominant. 2-point conversion is not going to go home for Seaford. A big-time stop that time on the defensive line. I believe James Celestino in there.
And Caden Hawkins once again. And again, that was Andrew Volpe looking like he was just getting tackled. Here's the replay. Here's the replay to touchdown.
Yeah.
You see everybody's inside. So you just run a toss to the outside, a diving attempt.
Yeah.
Again.
You love that hustle, though.
Yeah, you love the hustle. Hey.
You know what? I do, again, not to get too fixated on this, but I guess if you're Cold Spring Harbor, not allowed to try an offense. Defensively, though, you can keep going.
Sure.
You can go as hard as you can. All right. To me, it just seems a little ridiculous.
You want
subjective.
You got to play football.
Right.
It's
on one end, anyways.
It's high school. You got to play.
Sure. All right. 44-6 is the lead for Cold Spring Harbor. And we'll take a quick break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Back to action, and Mike, you just mentioned probably another onside kick on the docket. You mentioned it last time, Joe Kane, the 6'2", 215-pound offensive lineman, to try and win it back for Seaford.
No worries.
Got a good bounce on that ball. It could have been anyone. It looked like Cold Spring Harbor had initial possession, but they were juggling it, and the officials say it is indeed Seahawks football.
Yes, Cold Spring, it definitely bounced off somebody's shoulder pads, but they got it back. And again, people might look at that and say, wait a minute, you kidding me? You're onside kicking? No, that's what they do. It doesn't matter if they're up or down. That's what they do. They don't kick the ball deep. And there's nothing wrong with that because people know that's what they do. So you're ready for it. You coach, you prepare for it. It's not a surprise. You prepare. And both teams prepared. Both teams did it the right way. Cold Spring got the ball.
We got a little off track, but I wanted to finish up that conversation about these Long Island teams potentially playing in-state tournaments. I was just wondering, from a coach's perspective, would you sort of enjoy the challenge of preparing for a team you don't know as well? Because, you've been in this for over 2 decades now. You've seen these teams time and time again. Obviously, personnel changes from year to year. Philosophy changes from year to year. But you know the DNA of these groups. And I just love the idea of state tournaments allowing two teams from completely different regions who maybe know nothing about each other getting a chance to match up and really challenge the minds of the two coaching staffs.
Well, the good thing is technology.
Yeah.
If you would have said that 15, 20 years ago,
right,
it would have been absolutely unknown. You're going into a game almost blind.
Yeah.
You would have had to exchange 2 films, whether it was VHS or a DVR. I'm dating myself. Now with technology and like Varsity Media and Low HUD and everybody who films and live streams games, almost everybody who films, it's available. Huddle, basically Huddle has everybody's game. Everybody downloads or uploads their games to Huddle. So it wouldn't be, as unknown as it was 20 years ago.
Right. And here's a little run on the right side for Celestino, who's still going and ends it with a big-time shoulder.
And that was a real tough run. The tackle was by Nicholas Carollo, and he looked like he came up a little bit lame on that. He looks like he's limping around. Now, at 44-6, right now, Cold Spring has all their 2s in. Now these kids have the right to score.
Right.
I doubt you'll see them taking a knee. These kids are the scout team. These are your second and third year players. These are the kids that every single day go to practice. They're running the other team's offense, running the other team's defense, getting beat up a little bit. They have a right to play football. They have a right to score.
And you would have almost figured Coach Mandrensky would have been better off putting them in at the beginning of the second half. But you know what? He's been up by 40-plus points for quite a while now, so who am I to question his decisions? Give up the middle again to Celestino. Not much doing there. Maybe 4 yards. We'll set up about a 2nd and 6 at the 34. And, that time it was Andrew DeGennaro on the carry, another converted lacrosse player. He's pretty talented on the lacrosse pitch, 5'8", 170-pound senior, getting a little bit of action. Nick Visconti is the quarterback in the game for the Seahawks, 5'8", 155-pound junior.
Like I said, here's the kid who probably runs a scout every day against the first-team defense. He deserves that right.
And given how talented the Cold Spring Harbor defensive line is, I'm sure Visconti comes in here with essentially zero nerves, saying, look, I spend my life under pressure. This is nothing.
This is nothing. You're right. You see more sometimes in practice than you do in a game. And again, what are they doing? They're running straight dives, straight ISOs. Seaford knows it too. You're not going to see any cheap shots. There's no bad blood here. It's a rivalry. These are the two top teams in Conference 4 for the last few years. But you see a lot of guys helping each other up. You don't see any cheap shots, any bad blood. You don't see the coaches yelling across at each other. It's good, solid, clean football.
Right. And that was something Coach Mendrensky emphasized, saying, it is a rivalry. I mean, at this point, clearly the two best teams in Conference 4, but he said, on the field, they're really, who knows what happens in the pile-ups, but as far as he can tell, not a lot of trash talk. Pretty fair play on both sides, and I think by and large that's been proven true throughout this game. And you love the continued effort for Seaford. Say what you want about Coach Purple and how he feels about maybe like the media and the people who cover his games, but his players absolutely love and respect him to the nth degree.
They love him. They love him, and that's why he keeps coming back. And you know something? This is dangerous. See, coming out of the game limping right now is number 61, Ethan Burdo.
Yeah.
He's their captain. He's one of their top players. He's one of their top linemen. He just came off
defensive line.
Yeah, he just came off. Now I'm hoping it's only a cramp, which I'm guessing it is. He's drinking water and he's stretching it out. But that's the danger in a lopsided game like this. In a small school, you don't have all the depth.
Right.
In the large schools, you might have 2-3 deep at every position. In schools like this, sometimes you don't. And Cold Spring's got a nice roster, but when you see that, that's what scares me as a coach, is that in a game like this, people start to relax, and all of a sudden you lose a starter.
Yeah. And if you're John Mendrensky, this is almost the most stressful part of the game, is you're thinking just nobody get hurt.
Right.
Nobody get hurt. Nobody. There's no upside for him anymore. If he had his bones, I'm sure he would have ended the game at halftime.
Correct. And here's what I tell you before. We'll probably see one punt in the second half. Here it is right here.
Clock ticking down, under 4 minutes now.
Or was that fourth down? See, we're having so many conversations.
Right, now I know. I'm sorry. I'm distracting you, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll let you stay on it from this point forward. It does look like that was fourth down.
Yeah, it was fourth down. They turned it over.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see the Seaford offense one more time. They just got their first touchdown of the game, running the ball down the field. The upcoming schedule for Seaford, probably pretty similar. It's at West Hempstead, Island Trees at home, at East Rockaway, and then they finish the season with Locust Valley. Is that game potentially interesting to you, or just not too much on there?
No, that could be a very interesting game. That's another very prideful, organization or, school that has a long history of being solid. They've had some coaching changes over the last 3 or 4 years. It's actually where I first started back in 1986.
Wow,
My first 6-7 years of coaching was at Locust Valley under Fred Smith, who basically is my godfather. He taught me everything I know about coaching, not just X's and O's, about the way to handle people, the way to handle situations. And, I owe my life to him because he was the person that got me into coaching when I was 19, 20 years old, a student at LIU Post.
And that is... so much of this job, we've talked about in the second half the psychology of blowouts and managing your players and keeping them disciplined and keeping them on track, keeping them focused. It's funny because when you talk about coaches, that sometimes gets underplayed a little bit, especially with younger kids. I assume that's such a massive part of the job.
Oh, it's huge. You got to know how to win, but you also have to know how to lose.
Sure.
And that's part of, coaching.
Yeah.
It's not just X's and O's and, hey, you're up by 40 points. This is what we're going to do. How do you coach? How do you handle a team when you're down by 40?
Right.
Just like you handle the team when you're up by 40. There's a lot more that goes into coaching than a lot of people think. And that's the good part about it. I wouldn't trade a day. I tell my health classes all the time. I said, I love my job so much. that I never felt like I've worked a day in my life.
Wow, that's incredible.
I do this as a hobby. I mean, I would love to do this more often. I mean, this is great. I mean, watching a high school football game, having a good conversation about, state tournaments and watching two great programs right now. I mean, how could you sit there and look and say, wow, this is work? This is not work. This is fun.
I'm enjoying it too, Mike. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back, have some more fun on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now, Tim, tell Ben.
Recovery, your first recreational physical therapy company on the market. Come on into our brand new facility.
2:42 left in the game. We come back with some action, Seaford. And a nice patient carry that time. You've seen the depth at running back for Seaford. It was Robert Necco's had a couple nice returns. That I believe, the first time he's touched the football on offense.
Nice strong run right there, just a straight ISO play right now. Like I said, both teams are running the same offense. They're running dive, ISO, blast. Everything's in tight. Maybe you see a little bit of a toss, but, here you go. Power eye, going blast. There it is.
A quick flag there, but another nice power run that time from Nicholas Carolla. And an excellent tackle on the other side of it from Michael Shalji's 6-foot senior.
And the one thing you don't want to see is flags on the field, but that's unavoidable. It was 12 men on the field for Cold Spring Harbor. You saw one of their players jogging off as the play was. I mean, that's, and that sometimes happens. You get a lot of substitutions. You got a lot of 2s and 3s, and you're trying to make sure that everybody's playing. So you have the illegal substitution, which, I saw it right away. I mean, the last thing the refs want to do right now is throw a flag. They're in the same boat as everybody else, They know the game's over. They want to make sure everybody stays healthy. They want to keep the flow of the game moving and the clock moving as much as possible. So, I mean, but you got to call that. You can't not call it. I mean, you got 12 guys.
And, it was Sean McCauley on that tackle, number 40, not 41. A deep attempt down the field, a big-time hit from the safety, Caden Hawkinson, to ensure that one wasn't complete. The intended target was Nicholas Carollo, just a little bit out of his reach. A pretty good throw that time.
Yeah, that was a great ball. The reason why it was overthrown a little bit was the pressure that was brought by the Cold Spring Harbor defense, and it looked like it was James Celestino.
There we go.
Thank you. Celestino brought the pressure on that. Great pressure. Like I said, both teams are playing hard.
And again, it was Kyle Stark in there at quarterback now. Not going to be a guy who gets asked to throw all that often, but doing a decent job. And right as I say that, throws an interception.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be the end of the game right there, And listen, you got a sophomore quarterback right now. He's just trying to get something positive. Let him throw the ball. It might be his only 2 passes he throws all year. They don't throw the ball with their first group as much. So, give him a shot. Who cares? You try to get the last score. But I would assume that this will either be 3 knees or like 1 or 2 runs and then a kneel down, and pretty much that will be the end of the game.
It was intercepted by Harry Carswell that time. Couple of different lacrosse guys. Caden Hawkinson, a really impressive lacrosse player for this Cold Spring Harbor team, and Carswell certainly in that category as well. It's just interesting when you cover the school's lacrosse team, just how many names overlap, and you just see the athletic DNA of a program. It's the same kids over and over again. I mean, the Striano programs, they define that program to the T. Danny, who is known for being such a football star, he's playing lacrosse at Providence now.
I mean, it's funny that I learned that at Massapequa, that we had some 3-sport athletes.
Yeah.
Garrett Gibbons, who was all-county football, all-American lacrosse, all-county and state, state qualifier in wrestling, and he's playing lacrosse at Maryland. Angelo Petrakis was
incredible.
Incredible.
Second best face-off guy in the country.
Yeah, and he's at Cornell, and he was our star running back. I mean, it just shows that you can play more than one sport. You can play multiple sports and succeed. I mean, those are just 2 of the athletes that I had the privilege to coach in the last few years that were all counting 2 or 3 sports and all Americans, and their career is still going.
And it's worth noting for people who don't know, as we get really off topic near the end of this game, Massapequa, 2 of the top 10 lacrosse players in the country last year, which I always thought was just incredible. It gives you an idea of the kind of athletes your school produces, Mike.
That's the one thing that I've learned, that there are athletes all over this town.
Yeah.
And not only are they athletic, they're the nicest kids.
Right.
And I'm not saying my kids at Floral Park are nice, because I love them. I miss them in football. I got them back in girls basketball and everything else, and I love teaching there. It's just, I live in the town of Massapequa. My kids go to school there. My daughter's, on the kick line team right now. Hopefully my sons will be going through the high school and the sports programs, but they're such nice kids, and they're so respectful, and it's a great community.
Absolutely, and that should just about do in this one as the clock winds down. An incredible effort for Cold Spring Harbor. 44-6 is going to be the final score, and this was totally unexpected, Mike. We were talking about it before the game. 20-point games each of the last two times these teams met. I asked you if it was going to be different. You said you thought Seaford was going to come out and compete. What did Cold Spring Harbor do that surprised you and turned this game into a blowout?
I think once they jumped on them early, that there was no looking back. I mean, sometimes that's what happens, and you got a Saturday night, you got a great crowd, a great atmosphere, and I think that basically they jumped on them. But here's what I love, all right? See how Seaford walks down the line, they shake everybody's hand, helmets on. They act the same way whether they win by 40 or they lose by 40. It's a class organization. It's a class program. And Cold Spring's doing the same thing. There's no different. You don't see the helmets off. You don't see kids with their heads down. They're going to run into the end zone. Coach is going to talk to them the same way he does as if they win by 40 points. And the coaching staff is making sure that they shake every single kid's hand. Not just the coaches. They're shaking every single player. And I know what Coach Papal is probably saying. You're a great football player. Right now, you see him. That's what he's doing. He's telling them, you're a great football player. And again, Seaford's in the end zone right now, and that's how they are, because I've seen them when they win. That's exactly how they line up. They sit in the end zone, on a knee, helmets off. They wait for the coach to come over there, and that's what you got to do as a coach. You got to treat games, whether you win or lose, the same way, because they're kids.
And I mean, to your point, Mike, winning the same way as they lose. They don't lose often. They essentially never lose by 40. So if they acted a little uncharacteristically, you would get it. Didn't happen at all. Class act from Seaford. Incredibly dominant effort from Cold Spring Harbor, who sent a message tonight. They are even better than last year's Long Island Championship unit. For Mike Spina, for Chris Sweeney, our entire crew at Varsity Media, I'm Gavin Shaw. Signing off on the Varsity Media Sports Network, a 44-6 victory for Cold Spring Harbor, who moves on to 4-0 over the Seaford Vikings.